What is up, Shticklers? We have a fun episode for you today. It's going to be nice and sweet. We're going to start off with a new trailer, Deadpool and Wolverine. Super excited about that. Then we're going to get into our reviews. We have the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. Almost got it out. Cool. We have X-Men 97, Episode 6, and we have Shogun Episode 9. So, stick with us.
The Joystick Show.
How's it, Shticklers? The Joystick Show is back to talk story about things we've read, watched, or played. Shock us, Mahalos, for sticking around. If you fancy what you hear, please like and subscribe on the platform you frequent. I'm your co-host, Drake. That's Thomas.
What up, what up?
And that's Scott.
How's it?
And welcome to episode 139? I'm pretty sure.
140.
140?
Yeah.
It is. Welcome to episode 140. We've got some beautiful trailers for you that are going to be fantastic. Obviously, Deadpool and Wolverine. And we'll get into some reviews about some things we watched. Ungentlemanly Warfare, or I should say the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. And of course, our favorite X-Men 97 and Shogun Episode 9. So why don't we just kick it off with the trailers? Deadpool and Wolverine. Obviously, we've been waiting for this. We're going to have to wait a little bit longer for July. But what were our thoughts? What were our feelings? What were our emotions exuding as we watched this trailer?
This was incredible. Scott.
Yes. That's it.
Yes.
Move on. Moving on.
All right, cool. Moving on. There was
No.
Deadpool. There was Wolverine. It was tight.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, this looked insane.
Yeah.
I almost didn't want to watch it just because like I'm already sold, right? But I feel like they did a good job of like still not ruining everything. I still don't know like the whole movie because we've seen trailers that do that.
Right. They didn't give us much. Like, I don't know what this story's about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like just enough to be like, whoa, there's like some new characters I'm excited to see, and
For sure.
the things they did see were like not like what is it, nods to like older movies, like when they're showing like the old Fox films and whatnot. So we're familiar with those scenes anyway. So it was perfect. I'm so on board with this movie.
Yeah. I agree. The reprisal of some characters that we love seeing that were in the OG Deadpool. I really enjoy the fact that like Ryan Reynolds has taken this IP and carried everybody with it moving forward, and continues to give homage to not only the character but bringing back Hugh Jackman and pushing that through for us, the fans, and to potentially push forward what we're going to be seeing from Marvel. This is the epitome, I think, of what the crescendo of what's going to be Marvel to come, and just mimicking how fantastic it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I don't think anybody else could have got Hugh Jackman to come back and do a movie other than Ryan Reynolds.
Maybe the Prime Minister of Australia?
Or maybe
If he was making a movie, Deadpool movie,
Yeah.
then yes. Only those two people though.
Only those two people.
Yeah, it had to be this movie.
Executive producer, Prime Minister of Australia.
That'd
Not
be funny
even
if
their
they
name.
added that.
Right. I don't know what their name is. I'm sorry. But yep, not their name, just that.
Sure, they're great.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some highlights in this. Like, I love the callback to the first time we see Wolverine in the bar,
Yeah.
and then how like Deadpool's being Deadpool and like commenting on like what was probably one of the coolest scenes, like seeing his claws come out of his fist for the first time, right? And then we're like, oh fuck, they're coming out slow, and then like Deadpool immediately makes a joke on it, like calling it impotent. So I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, something like problems getting it out for Wolverines after 40 or something like that.
Yeah,
40 or something. Yeah. Oh man.
Keeping the scene fresh. Other things we see, powerful psychic. Was doing some research. It seems this is Professor X's sister, right?
Bald.
Yes, Cassandra. No. Yep.
Yeah. Seems like being bald runs in the family, so they got that. And she seems really powerful. You saw a little scene of her just going like boom, 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 and like moving his claws like into the ground. Like, that's pretty cool.
That was a perfect verbatim rendition.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, you know
Which
the scene.
precisely.
You see the trailer, you know the scene. Another standout was they showed right before that a giant Ant-Man mask just opening up, and like that's gnarly. Immediately I was like, did he die in something we saw? But it's probably like some multiverse where he died. So, like I don't remember him.
Like where he he would die as Giant Man too.
As a
which would be
giant, yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, do you think that is Scott Lang's Giant Man, Ant Man? In that,
It would
with the
be
skull?
hilarious if that was. It would be hilarious if that was the case, though, because the story behind it would be obviously something to think about and talk about.
Yes, it would be something
Yep.
to think about.
Yup.
Well
He said it'd be
defined.
hilarious, and I was waiting for it to be like, how do you think he died? You're like, because we really talk about it.
Yeah,
Probably
but
cry.
what do you?
I'm like,
Yeah,
wait, how's that
whatever the
funny?
story would be, we would chat. I
Yep.
think
We would
and we
definitely.
would probably have thoughts.
Yep.
You know, we would think
We would put
probably
it
thoughts,
out
laugh.
there.
and we would
Yep.
chat words, and yeah, it'd be pretty
Yeah.
crazy. No,
Man.
yeah, I don't know. I wonder. There was a few different Ant-Man references in this trailer. It made me
Mhm.
think: are we getting Paul Rudd? That would be pretty sick.
Yeah.
Some other side characters that we did get that we are for sure getting. We got Azazel from X-Men First Class. For a long time, people thought it was Nightcrawler's dad. We were getting Lady Deathstrike, who was played by Kelly Hu. I don't know if
Kelly
that's Kelly
Hu?
Hu. Yeah.
Oh.
Who? Wait, who?
Kelly who?
Kelly, who now?
Kelly.
Who?
Kelly.
Who?
Yes. Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
So we'll find out who she is later.
Exactly. So we'll see if it's the same actress or not.
Yeah.
But it looks like there's Toad there. We saw Pyro. If you really zoom in, you can see him in the background. And then Cassandra Nova, which was long rumored to be the villain. You kind of got to see her a little bit in the teaser trailer that came out. And this, we got to see her in all her glory. She's played by what is her name? Emma Corrin, who was in The Crown. I think she played like Lady Diana. Yeah, she was really good in that. So yeah, she looks cool. We also see that Tom Wamsgans from Succession, he is playing Mr. Paradox for the TVA, but it also looked like he got punched in the face by somebody. So what do you think that's about? Like, punched
Probably Giant Man right before he died.
him?
That'd be funny.
He would have just
No,
flipped him.
maybe
right in the
Deadpool
nose.
punched him. You think? I don't know.
Yeah.
Got a shot in.
Colossus.
Maybe. Yeah. Colossus.
It's just like other people.
Yeah, just nobody in the scene.
Yeah.
I think it's probably Wolverine. The reason why he's in the floor in that scene too. I'm like, at some point he was just pissed, punch him in the face.
Can you imagine getting punched by Wolverine?
With
That's
it
the
or without
hardest
his
punch
claws.
you've ever
Yeah,
hit by. I mean,
It's-
okay,
it's
we,
like
we said
brass
Colossus earlier,
knuckles.
but
inside the skin.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's the hardest punch you get punched with, thinking it'd be a normal punch. You're like, oh, this is gonna hurt, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, just get hit with these, under the skin brass knuckles, adamantium.
Yeah.
Just straight knocked
Drake,
out.
has anybody ever put like brass knuckles in a boxing glove during a match?
I believe somebody has has taken off some of the padding so that when they do hit, they're hitting more with their knuckles so they can hit harder in the face.
Dirty.
So like
yeah, some
that.
dirty things like that. Just
Yeah.
straight bare knuckle boxing in your face,
Boom.
but with adamantium.
Yeah. So
Something to chat about later.
Something to chat about later.
Yeah, something we can think thoughts about as well.
Next time.
But yeah, I think it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what Wolverine did that caused his whole world to die, or his whole universe to die.
Mm.
There's
Right.
that thought
Because
too.
they're really pinning it on him.
I hope it's tied to the yellow suit.
Really, how could they?
Because, so for example, in the original, right, if we think that that's the dimension or the realm that they live in,
Mhm.
maybe something has to do with the yellow suit where he chose the yellow suit, or they all chose their like original X-Men suits, and that somehow shaped the universe differently. I really
Some
my
like
creative
butterfly
juices
effect?
are something like that. But
I kind of
It'd just be
like
funny.
that because then
Yeah.
it would be funny if it was something really stupid.
Oh,
Yeah,
he
'cause-
goes yellow. They go on a stealth mission. They're the reason they all get seen. They all die, but he lives
Yep.
because he can regenerate. And then-
yeah. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
you go. There you go.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Do you think
That'd be
it
funny.
has anything to do with X-Men the Animated Series / X-Men 97? Does this feel like the same Wolverine? Does it feel like a different one? Does this Wolverine also feel like a different one that we got in the X-Men movies and Logan?
Mm.
Is this a variant?
say it feels like a variant. I feel like because Logan feels much more mature and dark. The original OG Wolverine feels a lot more like Tom Cruise Maverick style type situation. It felt very Top Gun to me. And this one feels a little bit more like not beaten down, but like has a chip on its shoulder from what I've seen. But
because in the trailer they go to that scene where it's like him in the bar or whatever, right? Like, so I
Yeah.
assume there was that. But do you think we see more than one Wolverine, and then eventually we get a version?
Ooh,
Like that one doesn't work out, and then goes to a different timeline. There's another different Wolverine. He ends up getting the one like almost like an X-Men '97 Wolverine, where he got the yellow suit instead.
That would be. I mean, that would make sense because if this is Hugh Jackman's last time as Wolverine, let's get the most out of Hugh Jackman being Wolverine. Like, I would love that.
Yeah,
it's efficient.
It is, and it looks like, dude, he looks so badass. The fight between it was like an extended version of Deadpool and Wolverine. It looks so much cooler. Like, oh my god! And apparently, Deadpool's getting adamantium swords. Like, he's getting adamantium bullets too. Like, dude, man, the fight's so good at this.
Yeah, that little fight we got to see, like the little bits of that fight we got to see of him fighting Wolverine, was really cool. Like Wolverine on top of him, he's just like unloading guns into his sides.
Yeah,
I'm like, that's insane. The amount of pain Wolverine has to go through.
Oh, what about getting stabbed in the ass?
Deadpool. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He got like right in the gooch. It seems.
Yeah.
Yes. Right in the
taint, if you would.
Right yeah.
Right between the nutsack and the whole bowl. I was just thinking, wouldn't it be cool if they took vibranium and then they took adamantium and they like folded the steels together to make like a katana? That'd be so sick because you could use the vibranium to hold kinetic energy, and then the adamantium could be used to like slice through with the extra kinetic energy of what the vibranium is having.
Ooh, like a adamantium edge, but the sides are vibrating, so you can like absorb shot.
Yeah.
It's like he turns his katana sideways.
So
that'd be cool.
If I'm not mistaken, not to be that guy, but I'm pretty sure adamantium is a vibranium mixed alloy.
Nerd. Oh, that's awesome.
For real, but I mean, I think that's what it is.
Vibranium is adamantium's a vibranium. Wait.
Yeah. It's an alloy of adamantium is an alloy of vibranium mixed with something. Yeah.
How come it doesn't retain the kinetic properties that vibranium
Maybe they just took that part out. I was watching a thing too. They're like, now we're going real tangent, but if they were to put vibranium into Wolverine, he might just explode from all the kinetic energy, like being dispersed in his body.
Yeah.
They'd have to like only do it on like if it was like the inside of him, it just boom, and like all his flesh would blow off, and then
God, it'd
be like, come back. Yeah, just blow his heart out.
Yeah, damn.
He'd just be like a walking kamikaze all the time.
Damn.
Yeah. Oh, his name could be Kamikaze instead.
He'd be a different mutant, but it's just cool.
Write it. Crazy.
Write it down.
That's up, Marvel. Yeah, so it looks phenomenal. Like the jokes are landing too. I do love the end too, where Blind Al she's like, "You want to do some cocaine?" And they're just saying all these different things. Like, white girl
they gave us a list. Yeah,
They
know it. They know the list. Like, they know all the words for it.
I know. And he's like, Kevin Feige said that's like the only thing that we couldn't talk about or do.
That's so funny.
Yeah, which is so funny. I love like the meta humor in this. It just, oh man,
yeah,
it looks great. To be great.
It's a Marvel's Marvel's movie. It's a Marvel's movies, Marvel fans. Movie. Yeah. Like a fighter's fighter. Is that Marvel's movie? I don't know.
Like a mom's mom or a gal's
girl. Or like a dog's dog.
Who?
Speaking of dog, we did get Dogpool. Who?
We did.
Oh yeah.
Kelly?
I wonder if he listens to commands. Who?
Yeah.
Wait for it.
All right. Yeah. But yeah, anyways, it was a solid trailer. I think it like took the day by storm. That was like the biggest thing that happened today. And God, July 25th can't come fast enough. I think, man, I don't know. What's the over under for me seeing it 3 times in theaters?
You're going to see it 5 times.
July 25th?
Yes.
Oh man, your birthday weekend, huh?
Yep. And
That's all you're
Comic-Con
gonna do
weekend.
that weekend.
And Comic-Con weekend.
I don't
Damn.
know. Just
you gotta go.
explode like vibranium Wolverine. I guess just do it.
Yeah.
Everything.
Did you know that vibranium, if you mix that with something else, you get adamantium? I just learned that the other day.
Wow.
Yeah, I
Whoever
know,
told you
Yeah,
that is a genius.
rocks. Just mix that with some
Yeah.
rock. It's a fact.
Some
Definitely.
gemstones.
So we did get one other trailer that you guys were talking about. Drake, you said you watched it. You did a little video on the story. It had Josh Hartnett. What was
Josh Hartnett.
Tell us a little bit about this trailer.
The trailer was called Trap, and we have obviously the R//trap
What was that?
joke that we talk about on this podcast. It is a different thing entirely, 100% separate. But this is an M. Night. If you put the link in the show notes, that'd be so funny. But it's M. Night Shyamalan. I believe it's in the same universe as Glass and the other things that M. Night Shyamalan did. I'm pretty sure. Split and Unbreakable. It's Trap, and it is Josh Hartnett, and the scene is like they're driving up to this huge Coliseum / like event, right? Music event. And what seems like his daughter's getting out. She's super excited. And Josh Hartnett's like, oh man, aren't you glad? Blah, 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 blah. We're here, blah, blah, blah. They go inside, they get their tickets, their seats, and the show is going. And everybody's like, yeah. And then all of a sudden, Josh Hartnett's like, I got to use the bathroom. Then he starts looking around and he starts seeing that there's police officers and, they're like standing by the doors and they're looking at all the people. And he talks to the swag guy and he's like, hey, what's going on? Why are these police people here? And he's like, oh, the butcher, the guy who's been murdering everybody and cutting them up. They got a tip that guy is here. And so it's a trap. Roll credits. And then Josh Hartnett does like they zoom in on his face and he does like a weird eye twitch. And then they cut to him checking his phone. And there's like a guy hanging from handcuffs in a basement somewhere. And it essentially alludes to the fact that Josh Hartnett is this guy who's a serial killer. So a bunch of questions arise. How is he going to escape? Is he going to escape? What is his daughter going to think if she does find out? Are the police actually going to catch him? Is he going to, what is he going to do to get out of the situation? Scott, did you have like a similar vibe? Like what interested you most about the movie based off the trailer?
Yeah, so first it says like M. Night. So I'm like, okay, it's going to be some kind of weird, different angle. Like an interesting angle. And, but when it starts and he's like, it's a concert going on, they got good seats. It's like, would it be like, seems like a Taylor Swift equivalent type of concert, pretty big deal. And then he's like, I gotta go to the bathroom. Like, are you gonna be okay? Yeah, I'm okay. Are you sure? Yeah, I'm fine, Dad. I'm like, dude, he's gonna John Wick place or something. I'm like, someone's gonna kidnap his daughter. Like, I know this movie, but it's gonna be cool. Not the case. And then when he sees all the cops, I was like, oh fuck, is it like some big social experiment? Like Battle Royale or something.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. And then they're like, yeah, when he's like, oh, the butcher's here. And then his eye twitch, I'm like, whoa, this is cool because we know he's the fucking killer from the jump.
Yeah.
And it's like the fucking chances of him finding out the trap before, I guess he's a really smart dude intuitive, but he just talked to the right guy who's like, I'm not supposed to tell anybody, but in case you're the butcher, he tells him. But yeah, I'm just interested. It's probably all going to be, I'd assume, all in real time, unless they do some sort of flashbacks. But it's probably pretty exciting. It is interesting, though, how calm he is, though. Like, he finds out, and he's, like, kind of like, oh, like, more like a, okay.
Like he has a plan already.
And then he goes to the bathroom, and he's, like, admiring this guy's still, okay, to get back to this guy. Like, he's not totally panicked. So it's going to be really interesting to see, like, from a psychopath's point of view throughout the whole movie. And I'm interested, like, am I going to kind of want this guy to escape? Or am I going to be, like, seeing him get away with things and be like, fuck, get him, he's right there. And then, like, he's just, like, kind of winking at the camera, like, not this time. And I'm angry about it. So I'm interested to see what this movie's going to entail. But it's a pretty cool premise. I'm excited.
Yeah, we get to see Josh Hartnett again. We haven't really seen him in anything recently, so
yeah,
it's gonna be cool.
I think I think he was in Oppenheimer, and then he was also in Black Mirror.
Yeah, he's got to step it up. He's not in enough good things.
Oppenheimer, come on.
Right? Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure, but yeah,
I forgot.
the
Yeah, and Black Mirror was pretty huge. That was
Dude,
a
the
Yeah,
Black
really
yeah.
good
Mirror,
episode.
yeah, with Aaron Paul and the way he like has to use his like android body back and like what he does with his family. Holy shit! This is actually perfect casting, I think, for Josh Hartnett,
Yeah.
considering
Mm.
like how good he was in that Black Mirror episode, which is
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
those are 1-to-1 at this point. Like it was so good. Yeah,
Well,
if
the
you haven't watched that
tomatoes.
episode, go watch it. 'Cause that one is creepy.
Creepy.
Yeah. So yeah, I one thing it's like I don't always love M Night's movies anymore, but I always respect how he keeps at it and like the premises because the
Yeah,
premises
yeah,
are
yeah, yeah.
always interesting. Like even Knock at
Mhm.
the Cabin was really like okay, wait, are they like trying to kill this family because it's two gay dads? Are they just trying to like torture them? Are they crazy? All of that stuff. You go into those
Yeah.
questions just watching the trailer, and then by the end of it, either it confirms some things that you thought, or it's completely
Mm.
different. And I think, yeah, M Night just has like a certain style to it, which I
Yeah.
respect it. I don't always love his stuff, but I
Yeah.
respect his craft.
He
Yeah.
definitely draws you in. He draws you in, and then he may or may not disappoint you, but he definitely draws you in.
Yeah. Did you guys watch Knock at the Cabin?
I did.
Yes.
Yeah. What did you guys
Yeah.
think
Dave
about
Bautista.
it, real quick?
I thought it was pretty good. I mean,
Yeah.
that movie. I was thinking this while watching the movie, and it goes in what you're saying. Like, it always makes you think, like, oh, is it gonna go this way? Is it gonna go that way? Blah blah blah. And then you think, like, I remember watching that movie and thinking, like, okay, if it is real, am I gonna like that? And if it's fake, am I gonna like that? Like, there's two possibilities. One's gonna have to be it. Like sometimes the journey is more exciting than like finding out what it is.
Yeah.
And something that you just gotta like, okay, well, it's gotta wrap up somehow.
You're like, I
Maybe
hate
no one
both.
has a good ending to this, but like the fucking journey, like all like the oh my god, like all like that's all great, and you can't.
Yeah.
That's always great. It seems in this movie. So at least,
Yeah,
I mean, if
yeah,
you enjoy
yeah.
most of the movie, I'd still say it's a pretty good movie, unless it's like
Mm.
super unjustified. Like I know, like there's some horror movies you're watching, and then you're just watching people get tortured the whole movie, and then it doesn't end good. And you're like, why did I watch that?
Yeah.
Like those are the only time. But other than that, his movies normally like keep me engaged up to the end.
Yeah.
And I do. There's not a lot of movies that keep you like kind of guessing what's around the corner. Like knowingly like making you like I'm gonna outsmart this movie. Versus trying to be along for the ride. So I'm always down to watch them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So in that regard, I enjoyed it, and though the ending it was still enjoyable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
the thing you touched on is like the interactivity, right? Like M. Night Shyamalan does a really great job, as both of you have said, in bringing this sense of like not realness, but like interaction, right? Like you're constantly thinking about what's going to happen. Some movies don't do that. Some movies do that too much. Some Christopher Nolan movies, you're like, what the fuck am I watching right now? Right? Like you need multiple watches. But with M. Night Shyamalan, you're like you're almost going on the Disney ride, right? Like Pirates of the Caribbean, and you kind of know what's gonna happen, but you don't really know what's gonna happen. But it sets a really great environment and tone, and you're willing to go on the ride, even though you may or may not have done it before.
Mhm.
Thank you, M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, there's only one movie I don't ever want to go back on that ride, which was his Avatar
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
It's one of the only movies I can ever remember walking out of the theater. But
Because he was taking IP. When M. Night does things that aren't his own IP, it's real tough.
That didn't even have a twist. He was just trying to make a regular movie.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
he just failed.
I was like, you just stick to you, man. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you, Doug?
Just do
See
you.
what you
Yeah.
do already, man.
Well, it's
With the
funny.
twist.
So this seems like a perfect segue. There is one director who did them, and it just does not seem like it worked out. I didn't watch it. Rebel Moon Part 2 came out. I think it was called like The Tear Giver or something. It might as well have been. I don't know.
Tear Giver.
Because everybody who watched it was like, this was the worst movie I've
The
seen all
Scar
year.
Giver.
Yeah, yeah.
Scar Giver.
Yeah, it gave the scar
Scarlett
people's
Johansson?
souls. But yeah, I don't think it landed very well. And I heard from all their other people who watched it, and they're like, "Wow, that was hot garbage." So I'm sure I'm gonna watch the director's cut,
Yeah.
or I'm gonna give it a watch at some point. It just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, same. I didn't watch it either, but I was reading up on that. But I did see an interview with him recently, and he's like, "Oh, Netflix is going to allow me to release both of them in like an unrated version, like you're saying, director's cut, at some point, like later this year." So I might just go back and rewatch one and then watch two, because I think he really wanted. I guess he was inspired by
Star Wars.
what is that? There's like a comic he used to read, like Heavy Metal or something back in the day, and it was like just like a lot of action, like boobs, like all kind of different things. Like he shouldn't have seen when he was a kid. He really mentioned that when he was watching. He's like, yeah, I used to have to hide the comic from my mom because like I wasn't supposed to read it as a kid. Boobs, really grab them. That's what he was saying. He never say that, but
I'm pretty sure direct quote.
Direct quote. You could really grab them. Off the shelf because you could purchase them. But so you're like, I guess he's gonna be able to release those. So maybe I'll check it out then, because at least it'll be the version he was like. Because I guess he made the movies and Netflix was like, "Can you tone it back a bit? Because we want it for everyone." And
yeah,
like, I guess only if I can put boobs in the later one. And then they're like, "All right, dude.
All right,
dude." And
boob dude.
Yeah. So I'll just wait for that.
Shit.
Oh man, yeah. It just the first one was not that great, and it didn't hook me enough to go in for number two. And then, I know we're not supposed to like let reviews sway us to watch for ourselves, but I just didn't hear one good thing about this part two, and I barely heard some good things about the part one. So I think this goes back to what we always say, or at least I always say about Zack Snyder, which is like the dude is an amazing director. He has a vision, he has a style, but I do not think he can write a compelling story. Like even with Sucker Punch, and I think that was pretty much just like a bunch of boobs, like murdering things and killing
It's
stuff,
a big
and
music
like
video,
I mean, as a music video, it would be dope, like awesome, but yeah, just the story didn't make any sense to me, and I think this is probably a lot like the same.
Yeah, and honestly, I was on a time crunch this weekend. I kind of forgot what happened in the first one, so I was like, I'm gonna have to rewatch the first one and then watch the second one. It's gonna be
Just
4 hours, 4.5 hours, and it didn't sound like it did too well. And I'm like, I'm gonna prioritize some time to watch some stuff, some other things. But it seemed like I made the right call there.
No, okay. The thing about how bad that is, like that movie, part one didn't come out that long ago. And
I know, and I can't really remember it.
And it was like a short story. It's just, oh man. Yeah, we'll see about the director's cut. Something that everybody is saying is actually pretty good, even though the critic reviews haven't been that good. But all of the reviewers, like us, influencers, podcasters, blah, 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 have been saying it's awesome. Even if you don't like horrors, is Abigail. So a lot of people are saying that movie has been really freaking awesome. It's a lot of fun. So at some point, hopefully this week,
Abigail.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna have to go check out Abigail. So that's like super high.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
sweet. It's
got like a 6.5, I think, on like IMDb. I've kind of given up on Rotten Tomatoes because I just feel like after I found out they were paying, for reviews or paying
so
for
rigged,
reviews.
right?
For the tomatoes.
Exactly. There you go, Cooper Howard. I just like, anyways, I can't trust them. So I'm gonna watch Abigail at some point. You guys have any thoughts on Abigail before we get into reviews?
Nah, I just gotta watch it.
Yeah, I just gotta watch it. I do.
All right. Okay, cool. So that brings us into reviews. Drake, you watched something this weekend? Why don't you kick it off?
So this weekend I watched Guy Ritchie's The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, which you could make a strong argument that is Guy Ritchie's version of Inglourious Bastards. But wonderful cast. Henry Cavill's in it. Alan Richardson is in it. Alex Pettyfer, Eiza Gonzalez,
Henry
Bob's.
Golding.
Henry Gold. Oh yeah, Henry Golding was in that. Handsome Asian man.
Mhm.
Babs Olusanmokun was also in it.
This guy from Star Trek: New Strange New World, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, Till Schweiger was in it. The guy who was actually in Inglourious Bastards. And Rory Kinnear played Churchill.
Wait. So you were like, oh, it's like Inglourious Bastards, and then they literally had somebody from Inglourious
Bastards in it.
Yep.
Yep.
They're like, we
Super
really want
hilarious.
people to know that it's like that.
Yeah, it's super like that movie. I will say that like Alan Richardson, I don't know, in this movie he like really shines. Like his character work, he seems very playful. He seems to be in his element. He's murdering a lot of people, which is just fantastic to kind of see him go overboard because we've seen it in Reacher. And he just feels really at home. I think he really shines aside from
He's
Henry
an
Cavill.
archer too, right?
Oh yeah, he's technically he's a Dutchman who was born and raised like in the woods and wilderness, and the only reason why he joined the group is because I think the Nazis killed his parents or something of the sort.
That's the only reason. No big deal.
Yeah, that's the only reason. No big deal. And his whole skill is knives and bow and arrow. So you just see him doing some hilarious stuff. And so the first act is essentially Henry Cavill and Alan Ritchson on a boat, and then the Nazis kind of board the boat, and we kind of get introduced into them. Then the second act is when Alex Pettyfer, who's Jeffrey Appleyard, gets introduced. So they have to go to a base and kind of infiltrate and take him away. And it all culminates in them having to converge in that one place in order to take to finish this one mission, which is essentially to destroy this ship vessel that helps U-boats become produced. And some things go awry. They have to change their directive, but they end up accomplishing it in a way, in a very beautiful fashion. And this is all this is all in like the black ops of Churchill and the masses within the UK at the time kind of didn't really want that to happen. And Till Schweiger is the main bad guy. He's just like this Nazi who's like, you know, will murder you and punch your face off, just kind of like how we would see in Inglourious Bastards. It was a really fun movie. It was slightly predictable. It was things that we're very familiar with, but I really like Guy Ritchie movies. I think they take you on a ride and they give you some elements that are very Guy Ritchie. So if you enjoy Guy Ritchie films, I think this is something that you could definitely spend, that hour 40 on and really enjoy it.
Right on. Would you feel like? Oh yeah. I feel like Guy Ritchie is like so over the top. Was this? Do you think in some ways you're like, oh man, that's so over the top? But did it work, or were you like, that's ridiculous?
It actually kind of worked, like because it was based off of a true story, and they do give you like pictures of these people post. It was over the top to think that it happened, but then the realization that it did happen, and then to see it play out in the way that Guy Ritchie films it and directs it. You're like, oh, and that kind of makes sense. That kind of makes sense.
All right.
Oh, cool.
I like it. The cast looks solid. I mean, it's been a movie that's been on my list to check out. So like, I definitely want to watch it. That cast is insane.
Dude, Henry Cavill is a fucking gem, dude. That guy is just good at acting.
Yeah.
He's just good. He really shines here. There's a bunch of range of emotions. Again, Alan Ritchson is just hilarious. And Eiza Gonzalez, I've seen her in some things, but she really does a really great job at bringing this character out. She's strong and powerful, but very seductress, but very tactical with it. She's not just like some hot girl. She's definitely got purpose and poise behind her. And Babs is actually a really interesting, intriguing character because he's technically part of like this op to bring it down, but then there's so much mystery around what he's done and what he's able to get there. And there's also a super awesome scene where we get introduced to Babs and Eiza Gonzalez in a train, and that's something to look forward to. I'll let you guys kind of get to that on your own.
All right, okay. I dig it, man. That's quite a glowing review, actually. Yeah. I'm like, damn,
that's pretty good. It's pretty good.
To watch it.
I like that.
Real quick before we move on,
man.
I'm looking at the cast here, right? Henry Cavill, first thought, Superman, right? I'm looking at Alan Richardson, and I was like, he'd be a hilariously buff Green Arrow. But then I was like, what if? I thought you were
going to say Batman.
No, but then he could. He's just buff.
Booster Gold.
No. But all this guy talk, I was like, what if he was Guy Gardner?
Oh shit,
that'd be cool.
Because he's kind of cocky. He's got that like
he is.
He looks like a modern day superhero. Like that could have been kind of cool. I don't think we'd ever get it now, but. Six Superman
because we got Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner.
Yeah,
coming up.
Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner.
Yeah, he's gonna be in the new Superman Legacy.
Nathan Fillion is
already
good,
confirmed.
I could see him if he cut his hair. Or
really, as like a redhead. I can't see Nathan. I don't think they're gonna go that route.
Yeah,
but
they might just make him more brownish.
Yeah, I don't know, but maybe that's not the route they're going. But God. Alan Richardson as the Green Arrow.
I dig
so ridiculous.
Just like,
Alan Richardson as Captain Atom.
Say that again.
Alan Richardson as Captain Atom.
Oh yeah, but he
Yeah.
was a mask. Though.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean,
He's
he
just like
could.
all silver, I think, with like red gloves and boots.
Yeah. But he's got the body
Yeah.
for it. I guess that's the only thing I went through.
Apparently, Alan Richardson is really petitioning hard to be Batman in the James Gunn Brave and the Bold universe and everything.
So I can
and,
see his jawline for sure.
Bro, I mean, if you look
The
at Batman in the
freaking
comics,
size.
which we have, bro, like, Batman's massive, right? He's like benching 600 pounds, like squatting an elephant, like just ridiculous stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I'd be for it, and I think he has like the like acting range to do it all.
Yeah.
To be like,
definitely.
obviously we have Reacher, where he's stoic and cool and smart and badass, but like, you know, enough to like where he could be almost fatherly to this little assassin kid.
Yeah,
I think would be pretty cool.
yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
for
And
it.
we already enjoyed seeing him beat up on people, which we love seeing Batman.
Yo,
do, so
yeah.
That
In
is
in
true.
the movie, Alan Richardson for a time has like a Dutch Swedish, or the entire time he has like a Dutch Swedish accent. It's fucking
Yeah.
Is it
hilarious.
funny?
It's
Okay,
fucking so
I'm
funny.
sold. I gotta watch
Yeah,
it.
say less. That sounds
So
Yeah,
good.
funny,
Some of
dude.
my fam went, and they kept mentioning the Inglourious Basterds, but they were like, "This movie, you gotta watch it." They kept saying that, so
It's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn it. Okay, that is definitely on the list. All right. So for the next one, last question while I pull up the list.
Mhm.
Who do you think Henry Cavill is playing at Marvel? Because there has been things. Some people are saying it's somebody in the X-Men. And there's the obvious choice too, like Captain Britain. But if it is somebody in the X-Men, who do you think you'd want to see Henry Cavill?
I've been hearing
play?
a lot of
Henry
Cyclops.
I've heard that
He
too.
does
He's
look
got
like
that
a Cyclops type for
X-Men
sure.
97 chest going, or that 90s
He
X-Men.
does.
90s X-Men Cyclops was
Mhm.
buff as fuck. Basically looked like Superman.
Yeah.
He could totally be him. It'd just be the age thing, right? Like we don't know how old Cyclops is, but he could totally look the part. I could see him leading.
He could play Beast.
Beast?
That would be like
I
a
think Kelsey Grammer has got that locked.
Yeah.
I feel like that
Yeah.
would be less of a character. Like it'd be kind of a waste for Henry Cavill to play.
Right?
For sure,
Yeah,
for
just
sure.
get Henry, come in. All right, we're gonna put a bunch of dots on you, and then you're not gonna act with anybody
Yeah,
else.
you're gonna be the
you're just gonna
Blob.
be-
That cool, Henry?
That'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
He's Bishop.
Yeah, he's Mystique.
He looks like
Yeah,
He
like
looks like
Henry,
that bastard.
Henry, we're just gonna have you transform into every other actor.
yeah.
Like,
But his face stays the
Fucking
same.
hilarious. Yeah. So funny, dude.
But,
Archangel. Oh.
dude,
Henry Cavill with wings.
that
He's,
would
like,
have
he's
made
basically
any
Superman.
sense.
He's like finally Superman.
Yeah.
Shit.
Just can't lift
I have
anything.
seen some fan casts for him as Magneto. Which
I would believe him as a Magneto.
there has been some cool pictures out there with him with the long white hair and everything. You're like, that looks pretty sick.
You gotta be someone,
So-
powerful and or leading.
Mhm.
Got it.
Yeah.
Front man for sure.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. Cyclops. I'm on board with Cyclops. I'm petitioning for Glenn Powell, but that's just me.
Oh
I
yeah.
want Glenn.
Mm.
Yep. Glenn Scott. Let's go. All right. So we got X-Men 97, episode 6. It was Life, Death, Part 2. And this was kind of a mashup episode. There was 2 different love stories going on with 2 lovebirds.
Mm.
We get the reintroduction to Charles Xavier. Meanwhile, we get to see part 2 with Storm and Forge. And Storm kind of reclaiming her power. I don't know. What are your guys' general thoughts on this episode?
Yeah, I think overall it was a good episode, but this one felt the most like the old school cartoons. Like they really crammed a lot of information into a small amount of time. Some scenes definitely felt like they were sped up or like covering more ground. Like I'd like to see them fleshed out a little more. I was giving an example earlier. It kind of felt like you watching like a previously on X-Men. The whole episode was like that. Like it was just like, especially the Charles Xavier part. When it got to like Storm and Forge, that felt more like it's being a little fleshed out. But when it got to like Professor X, there were so many new characters being introduced and like this love story. Like I just found out he's in love, and all of a sudden by the end he's like, "I'm sorry, love's gotta wait. I gotta go." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" Like I don't even know how in love you really were. I don't believe it. Like it was hard. It
Right.
was so hard to like get all that. Did you feel that at all? Like did it feel fast?
Yeah. This felt like, truthfully, the whole season has felt fast in a lot of ways because I've been reading along the comics while I've been watching them. And the comics, like some of these stories can span like 20 books, 10 books, even 5. So like some of these I'm like, this is not enough time for them to tell this
Yeah.
story. So it's all felt really fast, but I think most of it has been adapted really freaking well. This was the one episode where I was like, you're right. Like the Professor X stuff was like, wait, what? Where are we? We're in space. And then there's like Kree and Skrulls, and then the Shi'ar. Then, okay, yeah, you love me. You're going to be my husband. Then, all right, I got to go back to Earth. So, yes, it felt way too sped up for me in this episode. But yeah, I really, really like the Storm and Forge stuff.
Yeah.
Drake?
Right now we're doing our garden in the back, and Alondra's like super deep into buying plants, and I was like, how could I get Alondra into like potentially watching X-Men? And there's this whole fucking thing where they're just trying to find a cactus in a cave, and I was like, is this my entry
this my
point for
sign?
Alondra? Is this my sign that Alondra will like X-Men because of the cactus cave? I really
Did it
enjoyed
work?
it did not work, but
Oh man,
not
you were
real.
gonna leave us on that hook?
yeah, I was
like,
I was
oh,
about to
yeah.
leave you there. Oh, so she
And-
watches it now? No, definitely not.
Yeah. Find out next week.
I liked I like to see the Shi'ar. I like to see the Kree. The Shi'ar definitely gives me like that old school X-Men vibe. So I really enjoyed watching them. And then obviously, towards the end, Mr. Sinister, we find out just the worst, dude. The worst, dude. I love it.
Yeah, let's touch back on Sinister
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I have some thoughts there. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was cool. Okay, we're finally back in space, and which is weird, in some ways. But the X-Men have gone to space or have so many space, origin villains. It is kind of interesting, but
Astronauts.
yeah, the Shi'ar basically, they did take over some astronauts before. I get it. But the Shi'ar are, arguably the most powerful space alien race out there. And,
Yeah.
Through the MCU, we've gotten the Kree, we've gotten the Skrulls, and they've kind of been like here or there. They've kind of been all right. And sometimes they seem like really badass villains, sometimes they don't. But in this one, the Kree kind of just gets their ass kicked from the jump.
I'll tell you.
Right? We get to see like Lilandra and the Imperial Guard with Gladiator and with Vulcans in there, and like the Imperial Guard is like the best of the Shi'ar empires. That's their fighting team, and they come in there and just wreck everybody, and they wreck Ronin too.
Yeah, that was cool. Like those bombs that flew in at first and just kind of like went off like little galaxies, and then what's her name?
There was one where
Lilandra?
like they threw like a magnet in the middle of them, and it like sucked in all the ships, and they collided. and
Yeah,
exploded,
that
too.
was sick. I was like, what is this? Like, yeah, it felt like black hole bombs or some shit. Like, and then she's like, I want to fly through the windshield on this one ship.
Won't you come?
Yeah, black
Like a
hole.
butt bomb.
away, babe?
But
Yeah.
and then she just flies through the windshield, and I was like, do they not get sucked into space? I don't know. So she does.
No, the
Oh yeah,
barrier
he was
went
like,
up.
they brought down that thing.
Oh,
That's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, she just flies in and just beats everyone ass like personally, which is I thought was great. Like
Right.
she didn't want to throw a bomb on this one. It's like I want to be there, and like just
Yeah.
they couldn't do anything about it. Yeah, I was like, who the fuck is this team? Like this team is like badass.
Yeah. They are OP, and they normally, I mean, they can. Gladiator by himself can pretty much take on the X-Men most of the time in the comics. Even like he's Superman to the space Marvel. Like I guess some people's Sentry, but in some ways, like Gladiator's powers are more like Superman, I think, than the Sentries. But
Yeah, they showed like 3 of
anyways.
them back to back, right? Like he did the super speed to run in front of the blades, and then he used his breath, and then he did his laser
Yep.
vision. I'm like, super.
Yeah, Superman with a mohawk.
Yeah,
Yeah,
cool looking
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but she goes in there. We see Ronin. That this to me also felt like the most MCU-esque episode, where we got the Kree. We got like the way Ronin was in there with his. Oh dang it! I just lost what his weapon was called.
Let me look at it.
That giant hammer that he has. But
Mjolnir.
that's Thor. yeah, Ace Hardware. but no,
Is this
like
right? There's no way. It's called the universal weapon.
Oh,
That's too plain.
I have yeah. There's another name for it, which again I'm blank on it. But she still whoops his ass, and then later on in the episode, we get Forge after a Storm was getting taken by the adversary. He comes in with the book and like the glowing magic that looked like it was Doctor Strange, and he had the whip. And I'm like, wait, what? That's just straight Doctor Strange's power.
Yeah.
Or like the way his energy looked from the movies. So to me, this was like, oh, this is clearly like an MCU nod. And I don't know. I just felt like I got that a lot in this episode.
Sure.
Did you guys get the same thing?
Yeah, and especially because like the Ronin aspect, and like it was going so grand. I'm like, oh, this is like just especially we got that X-Men, the Deadpool trailer. Like it all felt like, oh, this would be like the part where they all start kind of connecting. Like, is this the Ronin from the movies, or like is whatever? It's just
I mean, no, I think that's a great point, because even today in the Deadpool trailer with Cassandra Nova, and it's like we just saw what happened at Genosha last episode. Yeah, and in the comics, she's the one responsible for the Genosha attack. I'm like, not to steal this term, but it's like it's all connected.
Yeah.
Like it really felt like it was all connected in this one. And yeah, it was good. How did you guys feel about Professor X being brought back in this episode, and how he was brought back?
You want to go first? I have thoughts.
I feel like you're gonna.
Go for it.
So, it was a lot to take in, like the fact that he's back. Because then first they're like, "Oh, he's dead," and I was trying to remember, like, should I have known how he died, whatever. But now he's just like, "Oh, he's in love, he's here." What was weird is like, okay, she's what's her name, Shiari, or what's her name, the one he's married,
Lilandra.
Lilandra. Two L's, double L. Lilandra. Lilandra. So he's marrying her. She's also a powerful psychic. It was weird at one point. He goes, "Oh yeah, I should use my most special gift of all." And then like he did that thing where they're like, "What is going on here?" And then like they're in school or something. Like it was just interesting.
Then he forgot how to use his powers.
He forgot to use his powers, and then also he's like maybe one of the most powerful psychics, it seems, because like they're like, I don't even know what this could even be. I've never seen this before. Like minds could do this.
What is a classroom?
Like what is even a table that I'm gonna flip and end up back in? Like it was weird. That whole scene was like weird, because then I'm battling that. Like, how do you forget to do that? And then also like, what the fuck were you, dude? You're so worried about your X-Men, but like. Also, that the whole thing, like, you got to give up everyone. I'm like, part of what makes Xavier him is because of his history. So, like, if he were to just forget everything, then would he even be the same person you want on the throne with you? Like, right? It's like, but
yeah, good point.
Yeah, but it was just a lot to take in. I think
smart. Totally. Yeah. What do you think, Drake?
I mean, I think it's fine in terms of like fanship and fanfare, but like I just think it sets like a weird precedent, like to just bring back characters all willy nilly. I know that we do that, and there's separate, separate but equal dimensions and universes where they can come in and out from. But I just thought, as it was playing out, I don't know that it added too much to the story other than to kind of help bring in the Shi'ar, because doesn't the marriage get annulled after the Cassandra Nova incident?
I don't know about that, but like, they were a big part of the X-Men animated series, the Shi'ar. So it's like they had to show us what's going on with them at some point.
I guess.
I think the thing for me that wasn't awesome about it was it felt very anticlimactic seeing Charles Xavier in this way.
Sports Center.
Yeah, Sports Center. Thanks. But yeah, it just was like, okay, because he was even the main draw in the beginning of the episode. Originally, it's like this epic battle. Then all of a sudden, it's like, this message comes out, and you think it's Lilandra talking to her sister Deathbird, but it's like, no, it's just kind of going out to the whole Shi'ar galaxy. And she's like, we've been fostering this mutant or this, individual this Terran individual for over a year. And instantly I was like, okay, I know that's Professor X. Maybe I was the only one, but like, and then he comes out and he's in the suit and I'm like, yeah, that's him.
Mm-hmm.
So it just felt like, and the whole season they've been playing it up like Professor X has been dead. He's been dead. And then you see him in his way, he's like very much not dead. And then you see that he's just been chilling with this lady out in space. Just, and then for him to be like, my X-Men, I've failed you now. It's like, wait, what? What about the last 365 days you've been chilling?
Yeah.
Did you not feel like you should get back there sooner then?
Yeah.
Like, why now?
That's why, I was like, you just, because you remember to use your powers and like tap into everything at all at once. Like, he just decided, like, at that moment when he was on the astral plane, I guess that's when he was like, oh, I should just check on my X-Men too. Oh, they're all dead. Oh. And then he like falls to the ground and can't handle it. Like, it just felt really weird. Like, I don't know. It just, it felt out of place. And then, then by the end of it, he's like, I gotta go back. And you're like, I guess it all happened so quick. I was like,
Why?
Okay, I guess we got Xavier. Like, that was just like I was like, oh, I guess he's back.
How's he gonna do it? But
Yeah.
I will say this though, I liked the parallels between the two different Lovebirds stories. Like I get what they were trying to do, right? We have Storm and Forge, and one is clearly like a person out of place. Storm doesn't come from here, she doesn't have her powers. Same thing with Xavier, so to speak. Like he has his mutant powers, but he doesn't have any power over these people or the way they think or anything, right? He's just like out of place. And they're kind of using their relationships in a way that they're falling in love, which is nice character development, but they're also like using it to figure out what they truly want as people.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, that's a cool story. So there was elements of that, but it did all of a sudden feel like we were a million miles away from everything that we had been following. I mean, we literally were, but like from a story perspective, it felt like that too, from being at Genosha with this like deep, emotional loss to boom, we're in space and like this shit's happening. And like he's got to try to figure out how to, win over the Shi'ar Empire. And there were just a lot of crazy references and stuff in there. I did really, really like the classroom scene though. And I have heard other people say this, which is, it's not that he forgot how to use his like psychic abilities. It was more that he forgot that his greatest tool is that he's a teacher. And I was like, oh, okay, like I buy it. Yeah, all cheesy, but like I'll buy it. Like, cool. I did like that scene because I think it hits on a lot of kind of deeper themes and why Charles is so important to the X-Men, which I do like. Like, the X-Men feel complete when Charles is there to me. And, the fact that not only does it seem like they need him, but also like he needs them. And he also, there's that part too in this episode where, like Lilandra and him are going back and forth. And she's like, the job of a teacher is so you can make your students be able to walk on their own, which I was also like, kind of fucked up. But I get the metaphor. Yeah. That's not cool that you said that.
I still can't walk.
Exactly.
Got legs?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I understood what she was trying to say, but I was also like, cheap shot, lady. But yes, but also like, and then I think his rebuttal is only when he thinks that there's no other lessons he needs to teach. I kind of botched that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, there was that line. And yeah, so I don't know, this whole idea of like a teacher and a mentor and like, what does it mean for your students to need you, but also like you need your students too. I thought there was like some really interesting concepts they were kind of playing there. And I think it really all came to head in that classroom scene.
Yeah, I think the thing I maybe wish I got more of was how Professor X really felt about why he needed to be there versus back on Earth. Like, because we're introduced to him just being alive. You're like, okay, he's alive. And then he's like, I'm so in love. You're like, okay, I guess he's in love. And then he's also treated like shit. Like, everyone's like, I guess like how mutants are treated. Maybe that was like the parallel. Like, anywhere he goes, he's a mutant. But still, it's like, why are you there? And then they're like, they said it one time. They're like, think of all the good we can do for the universe versus one planet. And you're like, okay, but tell us about that, because I don't know what the fuck you guys' plan is. Otherwise, I'm like, why are you putting yourself in this freaking predicament?
Right.
Like, what are you doing?
No, I think he does it, but what was I gonna say? Wasn't it weird the space racism?
Yeah.
They're like, I don't want
Spacism.
to spacism.
Yeah.
I don't want to mix with your freak fluids. I was like,
Yeah.
wow.
And then
there was
they
also
were like,
Ooh.
he's not even a Terran. He's less than. He's a mutant. And I'm like, oh wow, really? Like,
if anything, that's better.
yeah,
He's
it's funny how they're like,
that's what I thought.
it's like they looked up like racism on Earth and like, how do we really get him? Yeah, I'm a mutant. Like they really know or care.
How do they do it back on Earth?
Because I'm watching Shogun at the same time. It's funny. I'm like, whether you're in old Japan or like in this like super supposed to be like ahead society in space, they're still like stupid. Like, well, if you're gonna rule, then you must forget all your friends and family. Blah blah blah. And then they're like, she can't do this. And it's like, I
British.
enact this fucking rule that no one's ever used. Like, oh, the rule. And then they gotta do it. And I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? It's the same thing. There's always these set of rules.
The rule.
Like, oh my god, I can't believe she did that.
Oh my god.
I'm like, it's the same
It
thing.
kind of turned
crazy.
Yeah, it kind of turned into like a Star Trek episode where they were starting throwing out these concepts and stuff. You're right. And I think he does touch on it when he first does a classroom. It was this whole idea of like, you think you're saving the universe by like conquering them, but like what you're really doing is like you're taking away people's cultures, you're taking away the diversity of things, and the diversity is actually where the good stuff is. And and I think that point
true.
is
he did say that. Yeah, he's like, you're chopping him at the knees, and then you're saying like, here, I'm helping you be better, but really you're ruling them. So I guess that's his end. He's like, I gotta stop you guys on a bigger level. Like he's on that next level of saving things
with his freak fluid.
Another one that was funny was the you're like something space ghetto.
Oh yeah,
I was
the
like
Milky Way ghetto.
Milky Way ghetto.
Yeah,
like, damn.
Like they're trying to move the council to his Milky Way ghetto. I'm like, you guys use that word here? Like what?
No, it was hilarious. That should crack me up. But I really liked the themes of it all. Like I thought that last speech was really, really good. Like one thing that kind of stuck out to me, and I was like, oh, I like that sentiment, which was like, you keep thinking you're better by trying to bring other people down rather than like trying to bring like everybody up. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like I don't know. I just like that stuff always kind of gets me at like an emotional level. I'm like, oh, that's everybody's welcome. Like, I don't know. I like that shit
for sure.
So, yeah. So that was good. It ends with him after all of a sudden, I've connected with Earth. He sees Gambit pop up, which is very random, but also makes me think that Gambit actually is dead because we see Gambit's skeleton, and then the whole classroom turns to skeletons, and he's like, I can't do it. My brain energy is too much, and then falls to the ground. And this is where he's like, I gotta call off our wedding. I'm going back to Earth. Yeah, I don't know. Do you guys think Gambit's dead? Who else from Genosha Attack is also dead?
Well, I think Gambit is because we see Gambit, and I'm assuming all the other people in the classroom are all the other people that were looking to the screen and dying for the last episode.
Yeah.
I could see them killing off Gambit because that is like killing off a big character in the beginning is a good way to show like, what? Do you believe this? Tune in. It's crazy.
Yeah. The Ned Stark effect.
Yeah, but I mean, fuck. I don't know. Maybe you think Magneto's dead?
I don't think he is. I think Magneto survived.
Yeah, I mean,
he just used them as a shield. Come here, children, and he went underground.
He probably survived in all the freak fluid.
Probably. Freak fluid.
Freak fluid all over my face. Yeah, I mean, they're like characters you're gonna. I mean, they're like the main character. I just I don't think that they're dead. In some way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
can't be.
So I don't know that. Yeah, that side of it was okay. Let's get to the life death part because I think this side of the story worked better for me. Again, it was a lot more grounded. It seemed to make more sense. Like, okay, there's this herb. It tied into Forge's other history, which is this magical side that he got from his mom. And it's kind of tied to like Native American spirituality and all that. But again, the powers look like Doctor Strange. So maybe this is all the energy in the MCU looks like this, which I thought was pretty cool. but also like now Storm fights the adversary. She has to fight against her own self-doubt. She has to fight against her like fear of claustrophobia, where not only is it a real fear of hers, but also like there might have been a fear of her own power. I guess that's part of it too. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on the whole Stormforge side of this story?
Yeah, I mean, it was good up until I didn't know exactly. It was getting kind of confusing for me with like the demon. For a bit, I was like, "Is this an actual demon or is it like something that just she's seeing?" Because like the more she's like believes in herself, the more the demon was like kind of going away. Like, because at one point it was trapped, and then also the demon's in there when she's the most afraid. So I'm like, is she kind of spawning this thing? And then I was like, is this whole thing happening in her mind? Like, what's real right now? There was all that, and then I didn't know how she. So I guess the thing dampened her power, and then she just kind of believed it took it away, so she let it take it away. Is that what the idea was?
Yeah, I think so.
Like a
Like
half
that,
placebo?
the power. Yeah, like it did take away her powers, but it didn't fully take her powers away like she thought it did.
Mm.
There was also this part of her that had, there was this self um, belief that wasn't there anymore, and because it wasn't there, and that she had given into her, like, I should just be human. I can't really do it. I can't, I can't control my
Kind of like when
emotions
like
or whatever.
Spider-Man loses mojo and he can't make webs and shit.
Yeah, that's like a classic thing. Like,
You got the yips.
yeah, right. Like,
we
every
can't say that.
Oh, shit.
No, why not?
The
Well,
yips.
it's not a competition. Right?
It's real.
I thought you can only
Yeah, it's not.
Oh,
I don't know how this
It's
works.
true, yeah, I guess.
right, but I think a lot of superhero things in like the third movie or whatever. I forgot how many movies did this, but like, yeah, somebody loses their powers and then they have to figure out how to get it back. So
Yeah.
that was very much this story as well. Yeah, Drake, what were your thoughts on how this whole thing played out?
I to mimic Scott's point, it was just it was definitely like hard to follow. So that kind of just took me out of it. So I mean, it was great to kind of see the relationship and those two characters kind of flesh out their relationship. But other than that, it took me out of it just because it was confusing, and that's probably on me. But as a
I don't think
viewer
so.
who, oh okay,
No, I don't think it's on you. I think this was this was kind of a confusing episode in a way. Like it wasn't like it all makes sense at the end. You figure out like you're like, okay, we started here, we get here, like, okay, cool. I don't really know how that happened, but like the main beats are there. Like you took some magic, like you're my love, I love you, and through me trying to help you figure out this thing, like I fight, my inner demons because I can conquer my inner demons. Now I get my power back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, all right, if you just take those beats, it's there.
Sure. Yeah.
But like it is kind of a weird path. It's not as clear as you would think it is. So
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of people are saying, I mean, a lot of people loved, and I mean loved her getting her powers back. And like I guess there was a lot of influence from talk about Henry Cavill. That first flight scene from Man of Steel, they modeled a lot of Storm getting her powers back from that scene. From her like shooting up into the clouds, and you see that there's a satellite, and and she dips down and she's like flying near the surface with the horses and like all that stuff. It's like
They're like, what the fuck is going on? They're running for their lives.
Like, whoa.
Yeah. That's the other thing that was a little weird. I didn't know what was dreamlike and what wasn't when she like, I got my powers, and then like she just starts and her suit just starts appearing, and I'm like, does she make her own suit all the time, or is this Power Ranger sequence going on? Is this a dream thing where she's like, I'm not really wearing it, but this is what I envision I'm wearing right now? Like I'm like, what's happening right now? Like
I loved all that scene, but I think that was the only part in this whole episode where I was like, wait, what? She could just spawn her suit? But I'm not going to argue. The internet will destroy me for... It's like me saying, this may not be for kids. So I'm just...
Still, it's like...
I think that was the only thing where I was like, that was kind of weird.
Yeah, no, because it's like, I get it. We're talking about a thing that's like not real and it's drawn in one. But still, like, you set a certain reality and then like certain things break it, but within the rules you make. Something like that, though, like, you didn't really explain it. So it's like, at least tell me she can make her own suit like Power Rangers or Sailor Moon kind of shit. Or it's a dream. Like, it looked fucking cool, but like, I'm
Sailor
like,
Moon.
how did she even fucking do that? I don't understand. Did she do that now? Like,
With
I don't know
lightning.
either.
it looked
Yeah.
cool.
Lightning and Africa.
She's like, "Urgh," it just like came out of her pores. I don't know what's.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I don't think that Storm is an Omega level mutant. I'm gonna say that right here.
Whoa.
Okay, that'll get you killed in the
explain.
street.
Like I just
Better watch
so
your back,
if you take her outside of the atmosphere,
She'll bring the air.
what
with
is
her.
she? I guess. I mean, I just
don't know.
like I can see Magneto, I can see Iceman, I can see Xavier, but like just having control of the elements to the extent that she does, I don't view that as like a mega level.
I mean, definitely on Earth. You're
on
right.
Earth for sure.
You're
on Earth for
right.
sure. But like Omega across the board, I doubt it. I don't think.
Maybe. What if you took her to another planet with a spacesuit? She's like, I can feel something different. Just like on Mars, creating storm and shit. Like,
She does go on Mars in like the new X-Men run
there you go.
lately.
She's just making
Yeah,
water.
and she
We
does
can live
things
here
there?
now.
Yeah. So
Oh,
if you go back to the 2021 Hellfire Gala, you know, like they want to make it a big show and like there's this party, whatever, and like to show the strength of their nation, they basically colonize Mars, but not in like, you know, they were like, what would Magneto says, what would take you guys? He's talking to these humans. What would take you centuries, we can do in mere hours. And then like they find this like ore, like giant piece of ore from space, and like a bunch of other elements, and then she comes in there and just like blast it full of. They bring like hydrogen from somewhere, and she just like turns it into water, and like now they terraform Mars.
Okay, so in that
I mean,
sense,
if she
that's
has the
kinda-
ability to terraform, yeah, sure.
yeah, that's like the
Yeah.
Omega problem. But
It's pretty
sure.
sick.
Yeah.
Dumb. But yeah, no.
We'll agree to disagree. All right, yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, I don't not like I respect Storm. There's a lot I love about Storm as a character. I think she's. I don't even know if this is controversial to say, but I think she might be one of like the best female black characters of all time.
Oh, okay.
You know, like
Yeah.
yeah, Storm's sick.
but, I
Like,
mean,
she's
she's
awesome.
just sick, just female character.
She's an
in
Omega
general.
level character.
Yeah, but like for
Are
sure.
there-
But like I'm not necessarily like drawn to her character. I'm not like, oh my god, I love Storm, and I, you know, like she's one of my favorite X-Men. But I know she is for a lot of people, and I think without her, like the X-Men aren't what the X-Men are. Like I feel like she plays such a pivotal role in making sure the X-Men are the X-Men. Like it has felt a little weird, I would say, this season not having her with the rest of the team. But I think the story they're doing with her in Life Death is, for a lot of people, arguably one of her best stories ever.
Yeah.
you
Ooh,
know,
and
so-
her full hair grew out, right?
Oh yeah.
How does it-
She's
Yeah,
got-
yeah. Then she got
she's
a full
more
head of
hair.
Yeah. She's one of the best characters of all time. Plus, her hair came back. So
But she got
That's
hair,
pretty
dude.
sick.
That's pretty cool, dude.
That's a
That's Omega
credential,
right
man.
there, dude.
It's a credential.
Bottle
Yeah,
that
yeah.
shit. You'd be a
yeah,
billionaire.
she's basically like a walking keeps ad.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
Oh,
overall,
dude.
Storm is cool. That was just the one thing I didn't understand. Like, I do like Storm. She's too powerful, but I didn't know the hair just growing out and then her building her suit. I'm like, what's real and what isn't? Right? Yeah, that was just something.
yeah.
But
It
was
is,
cool.
yeah. Because even in Life Death Part 2, it seemed like what's a fantasy where she like is with, you know, she rides off a cliff then falls through the roof. You're like, wait, she was dreaming? Was she actually flying? Like there was no explanation for it. I guess we have to assume that she always kind of had her powers. She just didn't realize it, and then ran out of the house and then fell back on the roof.
Right. I
Or
thought
something.
what was gonna happen was like at the end of the episode is gonna turn into like maybe still tying into Forge and that sort of medicine or something. Like she starts waking up and she was like doing some sort of like hallucinogen type of medicine to like just fight those inner demons, and then she like, so that was all like in her head in that sense. But and then I was like,
Right,
oh, I guess it's all
'cause-
real because they did get the cat because I guess he did get bit. I thought maybe that was all like in her dream or something.
Just yeah, because you're right. Because in the Life Death Part 2 in the comics, that is kind of what happens. She like she's like starving. She's like doesn't have her powers, and she's like wandering through Africa, and like I think she gets bit by a snake or like has to fight a snake, and so she does start hallucinating,
Mm.
and like it is a lot in her head. So I guess you just have to assume that, or like take the source material and then kind of like use that logic with this episode. But again, if you've never read the books, like that, they don't really explain that in the show.
Yeah.
So I think it's fair what you guys are saying for sure.
Okay.
Overall, still digging it.
So
Still digging it.
yeah, definitely. I'm super on board, and now we know we're getting Storm back to the team. We're getting Professor X back to the team. Like all of that's sick. Like and they're gonna need them considering who's still left in Genosha, what the rest of the mutant world is dealing with at this point. So yeah, and I've heard that episode 8 is the craziest. I know we're going to 7, but once we get through 7, episode 8 is like the craziest episode out of all of them. That's what the showrunner Bo DeMaio said. So I'm super on board still. Yeah, I just wish that they gave a little bit more room to breathe in the life depth portion. But we could have maybe just got a whole episode of space. But no, still great with what we got. I think again, Professor X's speech was like top notch, and yeah, it's gonna be fun. I can't wait for this week's episode.
Yeah.
Ooh. So that brings us into the penultimate episode of Shogun, episode 9. Is that right?
Yep. Crimson Sky.
Yeah.
9?
Yeah.
9?
Crimson Sky.
Crimson Sky. Go for it, Drake.
This was kind of like the episode where everything kind of fell into place. It literally is a penultimate episode that sets up the finale in the sense of how much drama it brings through. I think the whole intent of this episode was to show what Mariko's purpose was, and kind of giving you what that eightfold fence really truly meant in this situation. Because throughout the episode, we're guided back to her sense of purpose within the whole Toranaga plan. And there is a moment in time where essentially she comes to terms with the fact that she's still alive, and what her father kept her alive for and helped her keep her alive is for this exact moment. And essentially what Mariko does is she tries to go against I forget the main bad guy's name.
Ishido.
Yeah, Ishido. Yeah, I was gonna say Iago for some reason, who is also kind of a bad guy.
Yeah. It's now
Iago,
gone to Aladdin.
Aladdin.
And she has to fight Jafar. And then
yeah, dude, it's gonna be hard, dude, because he can turn into a large snake. But Ishido essentially is holding everybody captive in Osaka, and Mariko is out to prove that Ishido can't. That if that is the case, then everybody's going to rally against Ishido and that whole governmental system. And she does do that effectively. We get some of the most badass fight scenes that we've seen. We get to see Mariko actually fight in this episode as well. We get some almost moments, which Scott will probably get into. And then we get the final moment where we're like, what the fuck? And then it just ends pretty much. But Scott, fill in all those blanks as I've left the listeners salivating over what happened in the episode.
Yeah, so I'm finally caught up. I watched all the episodes since last we spoke.
That's a lot, dude.
I know that's a lot.
You're like, I don't know, guys. I'm on episode 2, and then you're like, yeah. So episode 9 is.
Yeah, I went back and I was at the beginning, basically like before the credits of episode 2. So I started. All right, here we go. But as soon as 3 hit, I'm like, whoa, things are moving, like with the ship part, and like, yeah, I was like, okay, yeah, it was like felt more and more like Game of Thrones. Like there was like, I know, so there's like people have been like, people I know personally that have been like, it's like kind of like Game of Thrones, but like a little more talking and a little more whatever. And I think it's like maybe that's just like the way it is, but I have no problem with it. I think it's like awesome storytelling. All of the micro expression acting that like Mariko, the actress Anna, does is like great, like so good. She's fucking kills it.
So good, dog.
Yeah. And so to speak on that Game of Thrones thing though, it's like okay, if you're looking for dragons and battles and all that stuff, like you're not gonna this is like season 1. So if you compare this season to season 1 of Game of Thrones, they're very similar, but like there is a lot of dialogue there too.
Yeah.
And also like you're trying to figure out the characters, you're trying to figure out the world. I think where it's similar is like the quality. Like the quality of shots, the quality of like, because a lot of that set is CGI. So I don't think people like I can't even tell. That shit looks real sometimes, right?
It does.
With
It looks
the
stunning.
big buildings.
Yeah, it looks like they built
like
a whole freaking town everywhere they go. And yeah, it's nuts. And I think
they built like 6 sets in Canada, and then that was it.
Oh, really?
So everything else you see, like all the extra building stuff, all of that's CGI, and like all the extra men, they'll have like 100 people on set, and then like when you see like thousands of dude, all of that is CGI too. So I think it's just from like, I hear that comparison a lot, but it's not in the fact of like the magicalness or whatever. It's like the seriousness of the drama, the seriousness of the characters, the quality. I think is the Game of Thrones comparison.
Also, there's some turns where you're like, you think, I mean, it's heavy and it's going a certain way, and you're like, okay, I know it's how it's going to end, and then you're like, whoa! Like one big thing in particular was when I know we talked about this last time, but only now I'm like, it's funny because last time I was talking, I'm so bad with associating names with faces. So I'm like hearing you guys talk about, but I'm like, I don't know what's happening, who did what. And then as I'm watching, I'm like, oh, is that thing they were talking about? Oh shit. So man, when Toranaga's son slips on the rock at the end and fucking cracks his head, I'm like, whoa! Like this is that felt very Game of Thrones. Like you think something's gonna happen, and like main character dies. You're like, oh, whoa, holy fuck, this is heavy. So
yes.
Yeah, that is great. So coming into this too, like I know it feels like there's a lot of dialogue, but there's like tension throughout the whole episode. Like as Drake was saying, the whole plan. Oh yeah, going back, especially after his best friend you talked about last week, but now I just witnessed it. Best friend stabbed himself, and he does the seppuku, and then he's like, yeah, it was all part of the plan, but it was still his best friend. That's why it was like he was still crying. They're both crying, but it's like it was part of the plan. I'm like, this is insane. So then her part of the plan is like to go in there. He knows what everyone's gonna do, so he knows for a fact, like it's against the rules for them to not let you leave. If you have to kill yourself, though, are you willing to do it? And she's like, I am, because I mean, as we know, up to this point, she's like been praying for death every day, right? So no biggie. Yeah. I mean, like there's some hesitation at the end, I guess, right when she's gonna do it. But yeah, that whole lead up to that. Let me ask you this. Oh, is that?
Yeah, does it make like since you binged it, does it seem like that makes a ton of sense by episode 9 from like where you started again, kind of in episode 2? Does it seem like she's like the whole time's been wanting to die?
Yeah. Because I mean, there's moments where like it definitely seems like she's appreciating the situation she's in. Like you wouldn't think that, but there's enough scenes where they're talking to her and she's just like really unhappy. She's living with this dude who's a fucking douchebag. Beats her. Buntaro. And then he's like, I'll make tea for you. Love me. Oh, why don't you love me? It's like, because you beat me, you fuck. Like, Jesus. But and he's like, I know how to kill. What else do you want? I don't understand. I'm the best. But that's another crazy thing about this show. I know I'll get back to this episode in particular, but they show the importance of Mariko throughout and like her status and how like there's certain levels of which like do not disrespect her, right? Like depending where you are in the system, whatever, or even like higher ups, like don't disrespect her in certain regards. But then you hear about after she got beaten, she goes to Toranaga and he's like, I don't care what a husband does to his wife. I just care that he's beating my trans, so we can't have that. And that's like a reminder of like, oh yeah, women are less than society. Like as like as much as you think Japan's got their shit together in so many ways, you're like, yeah, the way they treat women is just like so opposite.
Well,
yeah, you're
the
like,
best.
Yeah. But going back to Mariko, crush it. So she's like leaving. She's trying to leave, and that whole suspense of like the guards like being in their way. They're like, she tells the first guard like, so kill him, and that guy's like, good, just kills those first 2 dudes, and then he gets shot with an arrow. Like, oh, fucking bitches with arrows, dude. Yeah, they shoot him. I know. I was so angry. I'm like, oh, you're just gonna shoot these guys, these badass dudes. Most of them die by arrows on the wall, but it was like the slow, like just stop and go back, and all their men are dying. That was cool when they were all fighting around her and she just stood there.
Yeah, dude. Talk about the last guy too. The last guy who died.
Oh yeah, he was like, he bows. He's like, it was an honor to serve you. Bows, and then just gets stabbed through the heart, through his back, and then falls over.
Bruh.
And then she picks up a stick. and then
A stick.
yeah, stick. Sorry, she gets an actual weapon. My bad. She's badass. She gets one of them weapons with the blades on the end, just like the other dudes. And she's just like starting to use her moves and stuff. But it's that scene I felt like was kind of interesting because I'm like, nothing's really happening because they can't attack her and she's not moving forward. So she's just kind of like, she's just kind of whacking the sticks. I didn't know what was the end game for her there until she got tired. She just fell down and was like, and I was like, they didn't even hit you.
Yo,
like,
10 out of 10 sound effects.
Exhausting.
like you did that.
Yeah.
What's going on? Yeah, it is exhausting. And then yeah, they're like they bring her back in. Oh, she's like, well, if I can't leave, I'm gonna kill myself by sunset. It's never now. Yeah, they're like by tomorrow.
Yeah.
Give me some time. And which I still love. But so they're gonna do that, and she appoints this one dude to like second, which is cool. I didn't really know they did that until this show. You had a second that would like chop off your head so you didn't suffer. I thought the whole thing was just you cut yourself and then you just bleed out and die. And I'm like, that's a horrible way to die. But getting your head cut off is, I didn't know it was that quick. So it makes a little more sense.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Like I forgot. Maybe it was because of like The Last Samurai or something. But I thought like maybe even when I was younger, I read like seppuku, like you just cut your stomach open. There was never like they don't just leave you doing that, just like holding your guts. Like somebody. Maybe it is only for respectful people or whatever, but like if you're respected, they at least put you out of your misery.
Yeah, which is pretty cool in that regard. You're gonna do that, you know.
They're pretty sick. If you ask me, that's pretty awesome.
And if your son could do it, like Buntaro, pretty awesome.
Buntaro. There are some people who do seppuku and they go across and up, and you're not supposed to make noise, you're not supposed to show fear and or pain, and then on top of that some people did just straight up not get seconded to prove a point and or to show that they were a boss or they were truly sorry, things
people.
like that.
Can you imagine just going ow 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 the whole time? Ow 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 ow. Wait. You're like halfway done. Wait, don't touch me. Okay. Ow, ow, ow.
I'm almost there.
But sorry, that's fucked up. Very honorable thing. I think it's wild though. So cut to the part where she's actually gonna kill herself, and Engine-san, he steps up. He's like, "I'll be your second," and he's like,
which is
crazy because he's like, "I don't want to kill her. I love her, but she's gotta have a second because like that's crazy to just stab herself." Which is cool. She's just gonna stab herself in the heart, which I mean would still suck. But I thought she was gonna have to cut her. I was like, is she gonna open her robe right now? What's going on here? But she's just gonna stab right through the robe. Zack Snyder boobs. But Anderson comes in. He's like, also, I'm like, has he even sliced the blade? What if he just gets her in the shoulder or some shit? I was kind of worried for her.
Yeah. Me too. I was like, this could be worse if he does.
Especially after hearing Toranaga when he was young. The actual story was he took like 8 slashes at that guy's head to get it off. So I was thinking back to that.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, man, if he doesn't make like first strike with this, like, ooh, that's gonna be rough for her.
Yeah, then he's just chopping up his gloves. Like, Jesus, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But thankfully he gets stopped. Ishido comes in and he throws papers down like right before she's about to do it, and it's like, here's your permits. And then everyone's like, can I get permits? And like, yeah, of course. Like, duh. And he walks off like all angry because he knew if he allowed her to kill herself, then everything would have went to shit. So he had to let her go. But she's like, "Oh, you can leave at morning." But man, when that scene when the shinobi come in, you see Yabushige on the top there. He's drinking like on watch, and another dude comes like, "Hey, you can go back." He's like, "Oh no, I'm good." And then he's like. He knew they were coming, so I guess he like distracted that dude, stabbed that dude, let the shinobi come up, get around, stab some more dudes, open the back door. Shinobi start coming in. For a second, I thought it was Toranaga's plan. I was like, well, this is what his plan was, like attack by night, because because of the episode. What was it called? Crimson Sky, right? Like it was like the whole.
That's what I. Yeah, 100%. I thought the same thing. I was like, oh, nice. He's letting in like his warriors. I was like, sick.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wait, they're just stabbing everybody in there.
Yeah, I was like, wait, do they know?
Yeah. I was like, do they not know it's them? Like, why are they stabbing their own people?
Yeah, what's going on here?
took me a long time to figure that out. I guess I'm still thinking about it.
One cool thing too
thanks
was
for
like
letting me
when
know.
so many ran in, and then the ninja stopped and staring at him, and he's like going, he's like counting the beats. I guess like I'm gonna go in exactly 2 minutes later or something. Because after he's like, now we go. Like, but the eye contact, I was like, dude, is he trying to Morse code to Yamashige? Yamashike's like, I don't know what you're doing right now.
Yeah. He looked confused, right? Like he's like,
is this
what?
part of the plan? Like, I don't know. Yeah. But man, they come in and they just, dude, they can clean house, dude. Those freaking Shinobi.
Yep.
That was cool. I didn't expect to even see Shinobi in this series. I kind of like, it's so samurai heavy. Like I kind of forgot that like they're functioning out there. You know, them just coming in and wrecking everyone was insane. And it was cool seeing
Drake.
What's that called?
No, go for it. You finish, Scott, and then I'm gonna ask Drake this question.
Seeing Mariko standing her ground and the Anjin using his gun. That was pretty sick. He's like reloading that shit pretty quick. I liked it when he shot through the wall and then ended up grabbing the guy, pulling him close, and then shooting like a little above in the head. Like it's like that's sick. He got moves.
That was dope.
Yeah.
Definitely the fast reload with the musket too was clutch. You're like, man, he's actually really good. Like that is his sword. So when he gave that girl in the earlier episode his gun, like that was very important. Yeah, because it was like his sidearm or piece or.
Also, the way they're shaped, like he used it as a club a couple times, and I'm like, that's a real good gun. Like that shit's heavy as fuck.
Yeah,
like it's a good weapon to have.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway,
so Drake, what's the shinobi side of it? Were shinobi like the ninja of the samurai?
Yeah, so historically, there's this old show called Abigail Shogun, and it was essentially a shogun, and he would kind of pretend to be a peasant. And he would go in and enforce kind of the righteousness of whatever was going on at the time, and he would utilize shinobi ninja to help him out. Even though it's not the most like samurai thing to do because you want to be fighting face to face, whoever stronger wins. Shinobi in the dark, from behind, thieving, kind of bad negative culture, but they were utilized a lot during the early periods when there was a lot of the shogunate happening, and also towards what this era is, which is the Edo period, to essentially get shit done behind the scenes, because they can pretty much do whatever they want outside of the idea and the Bushido code of the samurai. And it's definitely that Ishido utilized them to help kill them, because he can't, right? He can't send his own samurai to do the things he needs to do, so he has to go essentially behind the whole facade in order to implement those things. And so most I would say shoguns and daimyos have like this sect of like shinobi or ninja that they utilize to do those things.
Wow. Okay, that's sick. Yeah, that's a perfect explanation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm excited for Yobushige, because he is a pawn the entire time, and Toranaga talks about there are two different types of hawks, and Yobushige was being used, and Toranaga just knew exactly how he was going to act and what he was going to accept. And that too is like a beautiful level of understanding of the depth of not only the culture and the traditions and the practices, but then being able to like Sun Tzu it to a point where like you just know that person's going to do what you want them to do, even though you're not involved in it at all. It's like genius.
Yeah, but like this is like, but the whole time, like even though Yabushige is kind of trying to like protect his own neck, he kind of hasn't done too much against Toranaga. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
This is like the first time he actually like is like complete piece of shit and like doing the exact opposite of what Toranaga probably would have wanted, right? So that is like a weird thing. Like I'm assuming he's gonna get what's coming to him next episode.
Well, to that point, like he is essentially not doing what Toranaga wants him to do, but Toranaga also knows what he's going to do, so it's almost at the behest of Toranaga. So will he get what's coming to him in terms of will he actually get killed off? Because he's essentially not trustworthy per se, but at the same time, if you know exactly what he's going to do and when he's going to do it, like, is that really a threat to your reign? So
That's true.
It'll be very interesting.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I think that leads us into, we've kind of already started talking about that final battle. They're getting through the house and they end up in that storage unit basically, and it kind of gets locked in. You know, it's Yobushige, it's the Anjin-sama. Yeah, it's Mariko, and it's like Todonaga's 2 wives, right? Or like his wife and
Yeah.
the consort. So and they can kind of tell like Anjin's trying to find a plan to like block the door. He's telling Yabashige. Yabashige's like, I don't know if he's too afraid or if he's just like, I'm just not gonna help. But yeah, before I move on, what do you guys think?
That's a good point. First, I was like, yeah, I don't know if he thought like it's gonna blow at any moment, but then also it could be like the plan is for them to get her. So maybe he's like, I don't want to stop that. If I
Right.
don't help, then they will get her.
What do you think, Drake?
It was interesting to like hear Yabashige like care for Mariko in that way, like get away from the door, and then I think Mariko had like a coming to realization moment, like, oh, I wasn't able to complete the thing because all the things kind of came together, but in this particular moment, if I can complete my purpose, or I guess what she believes to be her purpose, it's gonna propel things even more forward. Because if we think about Anjin-sama, and what he's capable of doing, what he can bring to the table, 100% that's gonna help him push all that forward. And bring everybody who trusts and loves Mariko, which is pretty much all of Toronaga's people, right? And even the people who were kind of on the fence when she was like, hey, I forget what's his face names, but can you second me? Like, that act is going to help bring everybody together. And I think she realized that last moment. And I think that's something that's kind of a little underplayed of how her genius in that moment as well.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole thing was like, if she dies, then it'll fuck Ishido, right? Because
Hella fuck.
It was so I think that's why Ishido's plan was really like not to kill her, but to capture her. Because in a way, she wouldn't be able to leave, and he didn't break his promise, and she'd still be alive. But it was like, and she was over life. As soon as it was like, you're from the door, I'm like, she's gonna go right through that. Like, finally. But also, it does help because now all of Japan or whatever how big this thing is looked at is gonna. Whoa, we got to step in and do something. This isn't just a local problem.
Yeah, it's fucking everywhere. So, do you think she's dead?
She looked dead.
Yeah.
She flew.
It was a full
real far.
Yeah. I think she's pretty dead.
She's got head trauma for sure if she's still alive.
She's probably just in space with a Shi'ar, guys, okay?
Oh, yeah. I think she joined Gambit in this last episode. She's fully skeletoned out. There's no way she's alive. That was just, even though I was like, no, she's good. No. I'm like, oh my God, they killed her. She's such a big character, and again, like we talked about how talented Anna Sawai is and all the different like little expressions like she gets across with so little. Oh man, I and also like weirdly enough, maybe this is selfish towards Anjin, I guess. I don't know, but I was like, that sucks for him. He's like nobody now.
Yeah.
Like really nobody, Like,
who can understand
that was
him
the
now?
one person.
Besides the fucking
barely
face.
anybody except for the priest, which you see how he comes in. Which like every time he's on screen, Christina's like, "That's the dumbest haircut." And I'm like, "That's how it was back then."
So the hat fits real
Like,
good.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah. Did he wear a hat there?
There's
I
at
don't
some
know
point
what
he had a
that
hat on, but it fit
Oh, really?
right there,
Oh,
and his
that's right,
hair would
that's
stick out.
That's right. Yeah, in the pocket. But so it just sucks. I think that's a bummer, but I think she's going to be a big catalyst for the rest of Toranaga's people, which he's lost everybody. It's like one of those things. Is like, what would you give up to win? And it's
Earthbound.
Thanos. I'd give up.
Yeah.
He sacrificed everything, and it's like,
He's real
will
big
he even
picture.
want it? Yeah, will he even want what he wants now that everybody's gone? That he had to sacrifice. I don't know, man, but yeah, oof.
It's weird. So the way she died, though, is like, man, like I didn't expect to see her body go flying. It's probably like it's kind of crazy to say, but it was kind of one of the most hilarious ways to die. Like just like she goes, and then they show her like bam and like launch across the screen. I'm like, oh fuck, like this character you always seen as like this poised, like beautiful, intelligent. You think she'd go out a different way, like lying in bed having
she's
the
real
last,
light.
like it's okay. It was always, this has always been what I wanted, and just like closing your eyes and dying. Like She got fucking exploded. Like, just kind of funny seeing her body fly. I'm like, that's dark, but
like, right at the screen.
Yeah, I'm like, holy fuck, dude! Like,
yeah, and it just cuts to black.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, it was. It was not graceful, and I guess that's the point of the show. Sometimes, like there's so much grace. There's so much. I think you said it right. Poise and just everything's so proper. And then the way people die though, it could
death is
gruesome. Yeah, death is messy. I could say it. But yeah, I don't know. Any other final thoughts on Shogun episode 9? We're in the home stretch. I mean, literally, that's it. We got one more to go.
Episode 10 has got to be a fucking doozy. Like, episode 10 is not. I don't think it's going to disappoint, and I think it's going to be. It's going to be the perfect cherry on top of that series. Is my belief.
I think this is the best, the most well put together show all year so far.
Mm-hmm.
There's other shows I look a little bit more forward to because of like action and like the comedy and stuff, but like when you sit down and watch this one, you're like, damn, they're doing such a good job, and it's incredible. Like the themes that they bring through, like the nothing's like fully given to you either. I think you guys talked about like subverting the expectation, but it's just like everything is so smart. Like it's such a smart show.
Mm-hmm.
Like not in a like you need to be a genius to understand it, but it just delivered in this way where I feel like anybody can understand it, yet it's still like thought provoking. And you're still like, wow, I've never thought about things that way. So it's so impressive. I love it.
Yeah, it's so good. And it's surprising. Like, this feels like I don't even know if this makes sense, but it feels like a show that you'd think you'd find on HBO or something. Like, because certain
totally.
platforms have like a caliber to them, you think, but like, man, FX really. I know they make good shows, but like this show in particular feels like the best show they've done. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I agree.
And it makes me excited for isn't HBO supposed to do Ghost of Tsushima at some point? So like,
fuck.
And I'm like, is it gonna be as good as this? It better be, because like Shogun's fucking good. Like, do I even need a Ghost of Tsushima now? Like, shit.
Seriously, if it's not this good, I don't want it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, dude, you better come back with something greater. Yeah. Oh man,
Ghost
of Tsushima would be really sick. It does. You're right. It makes me a lot more excited for that. Makes me excited for another Ghost of Tsushima game.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what else is going to be coming from this time period in Japan. Like, I know we're not getting a season 2 because they said it's a one and done, but I really am hoping that we maybe get a spin-off. That would be great. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I would be stoked if they could find a way to do a spin-off.
Yeah, maybe like jump to a different time period, like like
100 years
another
later.
pivotal moment in history.
Cool. If they did like the Meiji area, the Meiji Restoration area, where essentially that's like the Last Samurai, or if they went way back to like the Heian era, where it was just straight up fucking everybody's murdering everybody, civil war all across the board.
Yeah, I mean, I'm for it either way, but yeah, we just never get things done with this much quality set in this time period, set with Japanese actors. It's like it's been so damn good. I can't wait for. I guess we're up soon. It's coming out tomorrow. So this episode for us will be out before we've watched it, but we'll talk about it next week. Any final thoughts on Shogun or anything that we talked about tonight before we wrap this up?
If you haven't watched Shogun, go watch it. Even with the spoilers, it's great. It's so good. Something special.
It's like we tell you what's happening, but for you to experience it is way different. So watch that shit, bro.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. I don't think this is a show like you could tell everybody all the main spoiler points. Even like Scott's been sitting week in and week out, and still like what the it just doesn't. It doesn't hit you the same till you watch it, or you can't even really comprehend everything. Yeah, that's what's so good about it.
Because once you're dialed in, I know it takes time to really watch it, the subtitles and all that. But once you're dialed into the show, it really engrosses you, and you're just like there. And when things happen, you're like, oh my gosh, like it's so fucking good.
So good.
It is. Yeah, Scott, why don't you close it out for tonight?
All right. It's been an awesome episode. We covered a lot of stuff. I know it was like a small amount of topics, but I still think we had a lot to say about them. Ooh, another long episode just in time. All right. Well, if you made it this far, thanks for sticking it with us.
All right. Bye, everybody.
The Joystick Show.
If you've enjoyed what you've been listening to, we'd really appreciate a follow, subscribe, and a review. Just how we like chatting with our friends, please share this with yours. Feel free to join the squad and follow us at JoyStickShow Joystick Show on Twitter and Instagram, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And if you feel like submitting topics or questions to be discussed on future episodes, you can email us at joystick.show@gmail.com. As always, thank you, peace out, and make it a great rest of your week.